Okay, it's been a while, but I want to update you guys on my ulcerative colitis. I just spent 6 days in the hospital, and it turns out I also have Pyoderma Gangrenosum, which is an inflammatory, non-infectious skin condition that affects about 0.5 to 5% of ulcerative colitis patients. It causes rapidly enlarging and extremely painful ulcers, and it's considered a severe extraintestinal manifestation of IBD. Yeah, scary stuff. But how did I find out about this? So I recently got a blood transfusion because my hemoglobin was low after bleeding for a whole year. And during that time, like 2 days before, I had like a little purplish pimple thing on my leg. Kind of just looked like an ingrown hair. My dad said it's normal. So I didn't really pay attention to it because my whole focus was on the transfusion. Because it was my first time ever getting one. I had so many worries, concerns. Anyway, the day of and the day after, I noticed my leg started giving me pain there. And the day after the transfusion, it was literally leaking blood. And then the next day, it was even more painful, and I was limping, and there was more leaking, and it was growing more and more. So on that Sunday, I went to the urgent care, and they did not take me seriously at all. I thought it was like an abscess. They just said they were just making jokes, saying they would shave it off and all this kind of stuff, just laughing. And they just gave me antibiotics and said if it didn't go down in like 2 or 3 days to come back. And guess what? I went back that following Wednesday, so 3 days later, and was sent to the ER because my whole leg had gotten extremely bloated, and the pain was excruciating, and I couldn't walk on it. I went to work before I went to the urgent care and everything. I just remember the whole time I was wishing, I was like, bro, why didn't I go earlier? Why did I go to work today? There is a lot of reasoning behind that. I could talk about it in a separate video if you guys want, but yeah. Anyway, I couldn't walk on it, and this time the urgent care doctor sent me to the ER. He was extremely helpful and actually gave me good advice. And after 8 hours of waiting in the ER waiting room, they finally got me in. I was there from 4 to almost midnight, just waiting. And yeah, it was a long 6 days because they couldn't figure out what was wrong. At first, they thought it was an abscess, but CT scans and other tests showed there was no pus pocket there. Then they were thinking it was cellulitis or an infection, but other tests indicated there wasn't any of that going on. So for the first 3 or 4 days, they were just pumping me with 4 different antibiotics. And it did kind of help the swelling, but the pain was still insane. The bloating was still crazy. I'm putting photos and videos on screen for you guys to see right now. They ended up doing a biopsy, and let me just say, y'all, that lidocaine injection to numb the area was so painful because it was already in pain. And since nothing could be found, that's when they had the idea that it might be linked to my colitis, Pyoderma Gangrenosum, came into thought. So they consulted with my GI and the whole gastro team there, and they put me on everyone's favorite steroid, prednisone. Yay. Oh yeah, and they also started my first biologic treatment, which I was actually supposed to start the day I went there. I was supposed to start Tremfya, but they put me on Remicade. So I did my first Remicade infusion at the hospital, and it's now 3 days later, and I'm actually going a lot less, 5 times a day, no blood, actual shape in my bowels, but the side effects are crazy. I'm having mood swings, I feel hurt and bruised everywhere, and I can already feel the weight gain. Thankfully, my leg is healing. I'm currently using crutches, which feels like a huge blessing because when I say that the pain was bad, I could not extend or walk. There was one time where 2 nurses and my mom tried to help me up, and the pain was so excruciating, I fell back down to the bed and broke down crying because of the pain. But by the grace of God, I'm currently out of the hospital recovering, and I know God will get me through the rest of this.